So, I'm not very good at being on camera. I'm not very confident, so that this week I've run out of people to film. Slightly lack of preparation, slightly newness of the project, slightly my own discomfort about being filmed and asking people to be filmed. I think, you know, I had a meeting with someone this week about making a film about something. I won't say what it is just in case it doesn't happen, and they were worried about the intrusive quality of getting people on camera and putting the camera into people's faces, into people's lives, and so I'm putting the camera on me this week. The thing about getting into the community is my father always said we'd pass this way but once, and because of that this moment, this time now is only going to exist once. And I think this valley is an interesting valley because it has so many good qualities about it. There are so many activities that you can participate in that aren't straightforward. I mean, they exist in a big city. I'm aware. I used to live in London. They exist in London. Lots of things like this exist in London, but in smaller areas, I don't think there are so many rural places that have such a breadth of facilities for people to engage with each other and with sort of a creative process. And that's what I've set out to do by making this film. And the answer that I had to the person I was talking to, who said it's intrusive. There's a film called Nanook of the North. It's made by a man who was actually I think he was a geologist who went off to explore the possibility of getting oil from the Arctic, and he encountered Eskimos, and he'd taken some film footage with him, and he shot Eskimos in their natural habitat. But the point was that he made a film about Eskimo life, and Eskimo life doesn't exist anymore. And it specifically the family that he made a film about died 2 years after he made the film. They went off to hunt and there was no food, and they died. And it raises the problem of when you put a camera onto somebody, it changes their behaviour. They begin to act for the camera. But does that deny the basic use of filming something so that you are recording a moment that will only be here briefly? And my argument is that it's worth doing. So I put myself on camera here doing, you know, what I do, cycling off with my bag on my back to go and find people to film.
Yeah, it's on.
This is entirely set up. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's Tim. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this to sort of create a network of ideas and people. Although at the moment I haven't got many ideas or people. I think the thing is to keep going. Try and maintain a balance and see what happens. I think, you know, try.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And then come bring it back and editing it together very briefly and writing some notes about my feelings of the experience, and then uploading it to the website. And I'm interested also in using the website as a narrative, sort of. So I went to see my friend Patrick to see if he could give me some help making the site a little bit more accessible.
So they'll have chosen that particular size, and it'll be nicely cropped in the correct size and everything else.
Okay.
Most likely it'll be a little thumbnail.
Okay.
Because WordPress, when you upload an image, there'll be settings on the site which will say which size of images do you want to create, and it will actually go through and resize all the images. It does a really good job with JPEGs and a really terrible job with PNG files. So we're going to go into this one and this page now that we've just finished copying over.
Okay.
And we're going to change this one. OK, and update. Always remember to update, or else it loses it.
Over the course of the year, the thing changes. Like, for example, this week I have nobody to film, so I'm filming myself. But if there is no external input, if nobody asks me to film them, then this is going to be, it's going to kind of dry up very quickly. And the stories as well, the stories that come at the end of the film are important to me, because I think hearing a human voice telling a story is a beautiful thing, and it's great to go and see it happen, but it's good to record it, as long as it stays live and doesn't just become a cliche.
Okay. The painting was produced as a series I was doing, starting off simply with a background of grey paint. The grey was a way of getting me going, starting it as I would not start otherwise. I felt it had to be art, look like something artistic. It was like a basic stock in a soup, once made, could then lead to something completely different. Different directions. Onion soup, chicken casserole, Irish stew. It was grey, I suppose, because that seemed neutral. Once there, I let it dry and worked over it as a backdrop, or as in this case, dropped things into the wet paint, pieces of paper, lentils, shreds of cardboard. I ripped up fragments of the maths I was doing earlier. I'd used coloured felt pens and pencils for the maths, as well as a biro, so there was colour in it, which when washed over with a wash of diluted white became blurred. The paper was also graph paper, and the squares gave the surface structure and texture. Because I let go of producing a picture and just allowing the materials to come to me in a very improvised way, whatever was at hand. At one point I dripped candle wax on it, or smudged it with painty fingers. The result I see not as a painting, but as a field of paint and paper, distributed intuitively, with as much thought on the canvas. Perhaps there is an element of therapy in what I've done. Certainly it was fun to do.